So you had a gun in your purse?
I had a gun in my purse, and this guy wouldn't leave me alone because he was just sure I was playing hard to get and that I was really...
I get very emotional when people bring it up.
This is Dolly Parton, one of the most famous women on earth. What could possibly shake a woman who's faced everything?
We were together 60 years. I've loved him since I was 18 years old.
60 years with a man the world never saw, a man who refused to be photographed, who never gave a single interview.
I loved him to death.
Who vanished from public life the moment Dolly became famous. For decades, people asked, who is Carl Dean?
Well, you know there are people to this day who do not believe your husband, Carl Dean, actually exists.
I know that.
Why is he hiding? Is he even real? Some said he didn't exist. Some said Dolly invented him to protect a secret. March 3, 2025, Carl Dean died at 82 years old. And now, for the first time, Dolly is revealing everything.
And I had a hard time, well, God. Yeah. And
she's talking about a promise. Not the one she made at the end, holding his hand as he slipped away. A different promise. One she made on their wedding night. One that explains everything. Why he disappeared.
So I wrote that song to say, I will always love you for what you've done for me.
Why he never stood beside her. Why the most visible woman in country music was married to an invisible man. What did he ask her to do? What did she promise him? And what did she whisper to him in those final moments that she's never told anyone? The answers are finally coming out. And they're more heartbreaking, more beautiful, and more human than anyone imagined.
Because I cry just as hard as I laugh.
This is the untold love story of Dolly Parton and Carl Dean. It was 1964, and Dolly Parton had just arrived in Nashville with nothing but a cardboard suitcase and a dream. She was 18 years old, fresh off a bus from the Smoky Mountains, still wearing the same clothes she graduated high school in the night before. Her first stop wasn't a record label or a radio station. It was a laundromat. She needed to wash her clothes before she could do anything else. That's when she saw him. A young man, 21 years old, driving a white Chevrolet down the street. He slowed down when he spotted her. Most men did. Dolly was used to it by now. The stares, the catcalls, the attention that came with her appearance. But this man was different. He rolled down his window and called out something unexpected. "You're gonna get sunburnt out there, little lady." Not a whistle, not a crude remark, just genuine concern from a stranger who noticed she was standing in the hot sun. Dolly would later say that what struck her most was where he was looking.
So this good-looking guy went by in a Chevrolet, and me being straight from the country, you speak to everybody. And if you don't, you're stuck up. You know, you're just a nose stick in the mud if you don't speak.
A rare thing for me. He seemed to be genuinely interested in finding out who I was and what I was about. His name was Carl Dean. He worked in asphalt paving, ran his own small business laying roads around Nashville. He wasn't in the music industry. Didn't care about it, really. He was just a regular guy from Nashville who happened to drive past a laundromat at exactly the right moment. For Carl, it was love at first sight. My first thought was, I'm gonna marry that girl, he later admitted. My second thought was, oh my lord, she is good looking. Dolly invited him to visit her at her aunt and uncle's house where she was staying. He showed up, the next day he showed up again, and the day after that. For an entire week, Carl Dean came back every single day just to see her. Their first real date wasn't fancy. He took her to meet his parents, then they went to McDonald's. She thought it was charming. He thought she was everything. Neither of them knew they'd just started a love story that would last 58 years. 2 years later, in 1966, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean got married. But not in Nashville. Not with photographers and reporters and the fanfare that should have accompanied the rising country star.
At that time when we got married in 1966, I was working for a label. They didn't want me to get married because they'd invested a lot of money, so they asked if I'd wait. I thought, oh, I ain't waiting. So we found a little church and a preacher that would marry us there in this little church.
The record label asked her to wait. They had plans for her career. A husband would complicate things. Instead, they drove 150 miles southeast to Ringgold, Georgia, a small town where nobody would recognize her, where no Tennessee newspapers would report on the wedding. The ceremony had 5 people in attendance: Dolly, Carl, the pastor's wife, and Dolly's mother, Avi Lee. That was it. No bridesmaids, no groomsmen, no reception, just two young people in love, making promises to each other that would define the rest of their lives. Dolly was 20 years old. Carl was 23. After the wedding, something happened that would set the tone for their entire marriage. Dolly's career was starting to take off. She was appearing on Porter Wagoner's television show, getting radio play, building a name for herself. Industry events were part of the deal. Award shows, galas, the networking that comes with stardom. She wanted Carl by her side. She begged him to attend just one event with her. "Please," she said, "just one. I want to show you off. I want the world to see the man I married." Carl agreed. She rented him a tuxedo. He looked handsome, she thought, distinguished. They arrived at the event together, husband and wife, ready to face the cameras and the crowds. It was a disaster. Carl was miserable from the moment they walked in.
He was absolutely miserable.
He didn't know what to say to people, didn't understand the small talk, the politics, the superficiality of it all. He spent the whole night uncomfortable, counting the minutes until they could leave. Before they even reached the car, he was pulling off his bow tie. "I'm happy for you," he said to Dolly as they drove home. "I want you to do what you want to do. I'll support your career any way I can." But then he made her a promise, something that would become the foundation of their marriage. For the next 58 years, Carl Dean never attended another industry event, another award show, another public appearance with his wife. It wasn't anger, it wasn't jealousy, it was a promise. He would love her completely. He would support her absolutely. But he would do it from the shadows, and she had to accept that. The world couldn't understand it.
But her husband, I don't know about him. He's kind of weird.
How could Dolly Parton's husband refuse to be seen? As her fame grew through the 1970s, as she became one of the biggest stars in country music, as she crossed over to pop and then to Hollywood, the questions kept coming. Where is your husband? Why don't we ever see him? Is your marriage real? People thought she made him up. Some said she was secretly with her best friend, Judy. Others said the marriage was a publicity stunt.
I wanted more than to just be a farmer's daughter.
Dolly answered the same way every time. He's just a private person. He doesn't like crowds. He supports me in his own way. But privately, she understood something deeper about Carl, something most people couldn't grasp. He had explained it to her after that one disastrous award show. "If people start photographing me," he said, "if they start recognizing me, I won't be able to go to the auto parts store anymore. I won't be able to go to ball games. I won't be able to go to the places I want to go without being bothered."
He loves me, and as long as he's good to me, and as long as we're good to each other, I don't think that it happens, but I'm just saying I wouldn't want to pry in it. I've got better things to do than to sit around in my room thinking, "Oh, what's Carl doing tonight? I wonder if he's with somebody and this and that."
Carl Dean wasn't hiding because he was ashamed of Dolly. He was hiding because he wanted to stay himself. He was a simple man who loved simple things, working with his hands, running his asphalt paving business, taking road trips in his RV, going fishing, watching TV at home. None of that required fame. None of that required cameras. And if being married to Dolly Parton meant giving all that up, he wasn't interested. So they made an arrangement. She would be the star. He would be invisible. She would walk red carpets alone. He would watch from home, proud of her, cheering her on from a distance. It sounds lonely, it sounds sad, but both of them insisted it worked.
Great, a Dollywood hat.
It says Dollywood.
Yeah, Dolly, and it's a corduroy hat, so that'll be nice about August.
I noticed you wear them.
In 1986, Dolly opened Dollywood, her massive theme park in Tennessee. Millions of visitors would walk through those gates over the years. Her face was everywhere. Her felt in every corner of the park, but there wasn't a single photograph of Carl Dean anywhere in Dollywood. When they asked him to pose for promotional materials, he agreed on one condition. He would only be photographed with a bag over his head. He wasn't joking. That's actually what happened. The invisible husband remained invisible, even in his wife's own kingdom. There's a song Dolly Parton wrote in 1973 that tells you everything you need to know about her marriage to Carl Dean. The song about a woman begging another woman not to steal her man.
She says, "Jolene, Jolene, Jolene."
It reached #1 on the country charts. It's been covered hundreds of times. It's in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and it's based on a true story. In the early years of their marriage, Dolly noticed something. Carl was spending a lot of time at the bank, more time than their finances really justified. She started to wonder. There was a bank teller there, a tall, beautiful redhead who paid Carl a lot of attention. She flirted with him openly, made him feel special, made him want to come back. Dolly saw it happening. "She's got this terrible crush on my husband," she later told NPR, "and he just loved going to the bank because she paid him so much attention. It became a running joke between them. Hell, you're spending a lot of time at the bank," Dolly would say. "I don't believe we've got that kind of money." Was she really worried? "The woman had everything I didn't," Dolly admitted. Like legs. You know, she was about 6 feet tall and had all that stuff that some little short, sawed-off honky like me don't have.
Oh, she's just trash.
So Dolly did what Dolly does. She wrote a song about it. She took her jealousy, her insecurity, her fear of losing the man she loved, and she turned it into art. The name Jolene came from somewhere else, a little red-headed girl she met in an autograph line. But the emotion, that was real. The vulnerability was real. The fear of losing Carl to someone more beautiful, more sophisticated, more everything was real. The song became a phenomenon. But in real life, the story had a different ending. Carl didn't leave. He never even considered it. The flirtation at the bank was harmless, just an ego boost for a simple man married to one of the most famous women in the world. He came home to Dolly every night. He stayed faithful for 58 years. She doesn't know how close she came to being a country music tragedy. Or maybe she does. Maybe that's why she doesn't like to sing Jolene too often.
Never judge a book by its cover.
She told an audience once that it's too real, too painful, too much of a reminder of what she almost lost. There's something Dolly Parton and Carl Dean never had. Something they expected to have when they first got married: children. "We just assumed we would have kids," Dolly told Billboard in 2014. "We weren't doing anything to stop it. In fact, we thought maybe we would. We even had names picked out. If they had a girl, she would have been called Carla, a combination of Carl and Dolly. A little girl who would carry both of them forward into the future." But Carla never came. Through the late 1960s and all of the 1970s, as Dolly's career exploded, as she became a household name, as she and Carl built their life together, there was no pregnancy. No baby, no family growing. At first, they thought it was just timing. Then they started to wonder if something was wrong. In 1984, when Dolly was 35 years old, she finally got an answer. She was diagnosed with endometriosis, a painful condition affecting her reproductive system. She'd been having what she called female problems for years, along with stomach issues that doctors couldn't quite figure out. The diagnosis explained everything, and it led to a devastating decision. The following year, at 36, Dolly underwent a partial hysterectomy. The hope of biological children ended on an operating table in Nashville.
Dolly Parton has canceled several upcoming public appearances and is checked into a New York hospital.
Emotionally, physically, these have not been easy years for Dolly Parton.
The impact was profound. "Suddenly, I was a middle-aged woman," Dolly wrote in her memoir. "I went through a dark time." For someone who had grown up in a family with 11 siblings, for someone who loved children and believed she would have been a great mother, the loss was almost too much to bear. Carl was there through all of it. He never blamed her, never made her feel less than, never suggested their marriage was incomplete without children. He just held her and told her they were enough, just the two of them. Years later, Dolly would find peace with what happened. "God has a plan for everything," she said. "I think it probably was his plan for me not to have kids so everybody's kids could be mine, and they are now." She started the Imagination Library, a charity that has given over 200 million free books to children around the world. She became godmother to Miley Cyrus. She became everybody's aunt, everybody's fairy godmother, everybody's Dolly. Now that Carl and I are older, she said a few years before his death, we often say, "Aren't you glad we didn't have kids?" Now we don't have kids to worry about. But there was something wistful in the way she said it. something that suggested the wound never fully healed. She would have been a great mother. She knows it, Carl knew it, but life had other plans. How do you stay married for 58 years? It's a question Dolly Parton got asked constantly.
I don't know how far back you want to start.
Especially in an industry famous for its divorces, its scandals, its revolving door of relationships. Her answer always made people laugh. There was truth in the humor. Dolly was on the road constantly, recording albums, shooting movies, doing television, running businesses. Carl was at home in Nashville, running his asphalt company, living his quiet life. They weren't in each other's faces all the time. They didn't have the chance to get sick of each other. But there was more to it than that. Carl Dean had a nickname for his 5-foot-tall superstar wife. He called her the Q-tip, sometimes Pee-wee. She thought it was hilarious. We both have a warped sense of humor, Dolly explained. And I think humor, honestly, is one of the best things when you're married like that. They also had an understanding about jealousy, or rather a complete lack of it. He's not jealous, and I'm not jealous of him, Dolly said. He knows I flirt. He flirts too. People made assumptions about what that meant. Dolly was asked directly about it in interviews. Was their marriage open? Yes, she said once. It's an open relationship, but not sexually, and I would kill him if I thought he was doing that. The honesty was refreshing. They could look at other people. They could enjoy attention from other people. But the line was clear. Looking was fine, anything more was not. Trust was the foundation. Absolute, unshakable trust. He never asked where she was going. She never demanded to know what he did while she was gone. They gave each other room to breathe, room to be themselves, room to have lives outside of each other. He never interfered with me business-wise, Dolly told Playboy in 1978. That's why I hire managers. Carl wasn't interested in her career decisions, her contract negotiations, her creative choices. He trusted her to handle all of that. And she trusted him to be there when she came home, exactly the same man she married, unchanged by her fame, unimpressed by her celebrity, loving her for who she was underneath all the sparkle.
But he loves music, and we're different, but yet we just are so compatible.
The last few years were hard. Carl Dean, the man who had spent 6 decades avoiding cameras and crowds, began to fade in a different way. Friends close to the family say he was battling Alzheimer's disease. His mind, once so sharp, once so quick with a joke, began to slip away. Dolly didn't talk about it publicly. She protected his privacy even as he was losing himself. But she changed her schedule. She spent more time at home. She was there, beside him, as much as she could be. There's a detail that breaks your heart when you hear it. Even as Carl's memory failed, even as he struggled to recognize things that should have been familiar, his eyes would still light up when Dolly entered the room. He might not remember what day it was. He might not remember what he had for breakfast, but he remembered her. Somewhere deep inside, past all the confusion and the fog, he still knew who she was, and his face would change when he saw her. The love was still there. It had just been buried under something neither of them could fight. In those final weeks, Dolly made him a promise. She promised Carl she would see him again, a friend revealed after his death. Dolly wanted him to be at peace in his final moments. She held his hand and told him it was okay. She told him she loved him. She told him she would be there waiting when it was her time. And then, on March 3, 2025, Carl Dean closed his eyes for the last time. He was 82 years old. They had been married for 58 years, just a few months shy of their 59th anniversary. The man who had been invisible to the world was finally gone from it completely. Dolly was alone. For the first time since she was 18 years old, standing outside that Nashville laundromat, Dolly Parton was alone. After Carl died, Dolly did what she always does. She worked. 2 days later, she appeared at the 40th anniversary celebration of Dollywood. She smiled for the crowds, she posed for pictures, she seemed like herself. But behind the smile, she was barely holding together. She talked about coming home to an empty house, about reaching for the phone to call him and then remembering he wasn't there, about the small routines of marriage, the little things you don't think about until they're gone. There was a moment at Dollywood, right after his death, that captured everything. A video went viral of Dolly meeting a young child at the park. The little girl was overjoyed to see her. Dolly smiled that famous smile, posed for a photo, made the child feel special. It looked like a normal, happy moment, but Dolly later revealed the truth. It was right after I had lost Carl, she said, and I was just so bottled up with emotion. I just got in the van and boo-hooed for the longest time. The world saw Dolly Parton. The grieving widow saw an empty seat next to her for the rest of her life. 3 days after Carl's death, Dolly released a song she had written for him. It was called If You Hadn't Been There. In the song, she thanks him for standing by her side, for believing in her when no one else did, for being her anchor while she flew around the world. I fell in love with Carl Dean when I was 18 years old, she wrote on Instagram alongside the release. We have spent 60 precious and meaningful years together. Like all great love stories, they never end. They live on in memory and song. He will always be the star of my life story. 58 years. 1 laundromat. 1 white Chevrolet. 1 sunburn warning that turned into a lifetime. That's the story of Dolly Parton and Carl Dean. Not a Hollywood romance full of drama and scandal. Not a tabloid relationship built on public appearances and coordinated press releases. Just 2 people who found each other at exactly the right moment and decided to never let go. He made one promise to her. Don't ever ask me to go to another one of them damn things. She kept it for 58 years. She made one promise to him. She would see him again, on the other side, when her work here was done. She's keeping that one too. The world wanted to know who Carl Dean was. They wanted photographs, interviews, behind-the-scenes access to the mysterious husband. They wanted to understand how Dolly Parton could be married to someone so completely invisible. Now we know. Carl Dean wasn't hiding because he was ashamed. He wasn't hiding because he was jealous. He wasn't hiding because there was something wrong with their marriage. He was hiding because he loved her enough to let her be everything she needed to be. He understood that her light was big enough for the whole world. And he understood that if he stepped into that light with her, he would have to give up being himself. So he made a choice. He chose to stay in the shadows. He chose to love her from a distance. He chose to be the invisible husband of the most visible woman in country music. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. They made it work for 58 years. Dolly Parton is 79 now. She's still working, still singing, still being Dolly. But there's an empty chair at home now. An empty seat at the dinner table. An empty space on the couch where Carl used to watch her on television, proud of his wife, happy to see her shine, content in his invisibility. She doesn't know how long she has left. Nobody does. But she knows where she's going when it's over. She's going to see Carl again, she promised him. And Dolly Parton always keeps her promises. Before we go, if you found this story as moving as we did putting it together, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. There are more untold stories like this one, stories of love and loss and the quiet heroism of ordinary people. What do you think about their relationship? Was Carl's choice to stay invisible, selfless, or strange? Let us know in the comments below.
It's the key to my long marriage and lasting love. I always say, stay gone. And there's a lot of truth to that because I travel a lot, and my husband's pretty much a loner.